Good morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids and cubs, and welcome to season 5 and episode number 760 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Do, 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 do. Always 100% Canadian. Today, recording day is Monday, October 13th, 2025. Turkey Day, officially, Thanksgiving Day, Columbus Day if you're watching from the United States, or Indigenous Peoples Day over there if you are watching from the United States. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, hey. And look who's with me, my best friend, Mr. Grizzly. Yay! Big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. I hope everything is going well where you are, kids and cubs. Mr. Grizzly, how is your mental health doing today, sir?
It's pretty good, actually.
Yes.
It's a little chilly in here, hence the big sweater. They haven't, they can't turn on the heat yet because they removed the boiler. The boiler was put in 1959, and they spent some time this summer removing it. But of course, because it was built in 1959, the whole room was asbestos, so they had to do the asbestos abatement before they could remove the boiler. So I don't know when the new boiler is going in, but it might be chilly in here for a little bit. So if I sit in the studio with all these lights on, it warms up pretty quick. light 100 candles, And
Oh, man. Yeah, the asbestos abatement is something, it's not far away enough in the rearview mirror.
Yeah. Sorry, I touched a nerve, did I?
Let's just say the 6 months that followed were not the most pleasant.
No doubt.
And we'll leave it at that. For those who have been following the show for a while, they know that last year was a bit of a tough year. We'll just gloss over that because today I'm thankful that tough year is really over. Really thankful.
No doubt.
All right, kids and cubs, how is your mental health doing today? Fine, I hope. Let's take a look into the magic monitor and see who we have joining us today. We have Kit Elaine joining us. Good morning, dear one, and Kit Argosy Acres saying happy Thanksgiving. We have, who else do we have with us? Kit Kat W. Yes, hello. Good morning to you. A lot of people saying happy Thanksgiving, sharing some good cheer. Who else do we have with us in the chat? Maybe for those listening, we started a little later. We took a little extra time today because it's a holiday. Slipped in a little. Also, the studio wasn't available because we have guests. So we have Kid Grace with us, wishing us happy Thanksgiving to everyone as well. And I believe that, Kit Jen is here with us as well, saying good morning, darlings. And so are the Breens. Good morning to both of you. Hope you're doing well. Kit Linda M is with us as well. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you and Mr. Linda are doing very well today and have some beautiful plans. Who else do we have? And that's, Uncover with a Grizzly dad joke today. Why did Grizzly skip dessert? Because he was already in a food coma hibernation. But
That is reasonable. Yeah.
So yes, kids and cubs, for those who are doing the Thanksgiving thing and haven't done it already this weekend, I hope everything goes well today. We did it yesterday. Today I have a rehearsal. Again, another 4-hour rehearsal from 4:30 to 8:30, and everybody here wants to go for a hike after breakfast. And this beaver's tired, so I'm not sure I'll be joining them. Saturday was we woke up, had rehearsal, 4 hours of dancing, and then I basically came home, and then I was like on my feet for another 5 hours with various cooking and hosting because some of our guests had arrived there by the time like 9:30 in the evening came along. My beaver sweetie asked me, "Do you want to do something?" I was like, "Oh God, no! I just need to sit, man. I've been standing for 8 hours and a half straight."
That'll take it out of you.
Oh God, I seriously, like the cashiers, right? With the ones that like some people they allow them to have like a stool to sit every now and then, but that was almost never the case.
Yeah, I know that, and that was brutal to make you stand for that full shift. It's like at least in Europe, they give you a chair.
I know. I mean, it's just that's ridiculous. I do
Really?
not know how people stand for 8 hours straight. That's hard.
Not easy.
Oh man. So yeah, we had people over, and of course a lot of us in the kitchen and doing stuff, and um, made it. Believe it or not, at the age of 52, I made my first ever turkey.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah. Well, I moved out,
Hmm.
and we went from being a foster home where they were like 10, and well, we did like cook the turkey. Well, 10 at sometimes, 7 most of the time. And, second youngest. So I was on bathroom duty for 10 years, never got upgraded to making turkey. And then you're living alone or just like in a couple, like one or two. So there's no point making a turkey for all of that. Not that I didn't have turkey since, you go into other people's family and stuff like that. But since, I been with my beaver sweetie, them being East European,
Mm.
turkey wasn't particular
Not a thing. Yeah.
thing. So it's like there was no turkeys for Christmas and no turkeys. And like this year, Alex says, "Well, how about we make some turkey?" And I was like, "I've never made one, actually."
I've
So
made dozens.
yep. So we did have a little bit of help, but the one in the picture is actually the one that we made, and it turned out very well.
Oh,
I have
okay.
to
That wasn't a CGI thing.
No, no, that was actually ours for the celebration. So
Okay.
it turned out I figured I would brag a little bit. I made my first ever cranberry sauce from scratch yesterday, and that turned out well too. And we had some roasted, oven roasted potatoes that turned out really well. The outside's all crispy and the inside's all soft, and some oven roasted root vegetables. We had rutabaga, parsnip, carrot, and beets. So that turned out really well. I know vegetables. I know.
Potatoes, greens, peas,
Yes,
corn, some
yes.
carrots occasionally, but beets. Ugh, all I
That
taste is dirt.
when they're roasted, they're actually really nice. Oddly enough,
No, no,
but you need to
disagree. Hard disagree. Hard disagree. I know people love beets and they like beet juice to drink it, but no, hard disagree. You know how people can't. Some people taste soap when they eat cilantro.
Mhm.
I taste dirt
Okay.
with
Well,
beets, no
well,
matter
s-
what.
well, see, for me, beets being a French Canadian, right?
Hmm.
The only beets I'd ever eaten until coming into this East European family was the pickled beets,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? Like that are a little sweet and all that kind of stuff. And then I moved with a Eastern European family and had borscht.
Mm.
Was it what, beets and soup? Okay, I'm skeptical, but it was right, and it was good. Borscht was good, and then sort of like, well, so this is the first time I ever actually bought actual beets. to do anything with them again in my entire life at 52. Alex buys them often because he loves to make soups and, he'll make borscht often, but I had never ever bought them. So we had all those yummy things, and then for dessert, only for the third time in my life, I tried to bake a gluten-free cake. Um, the first time went well, but it was like really dense and
Mhm.
heavy. The second time was okay. Well, sorry, gluten-free cake with flour, regular flours, not almond flour, because I've done a couple of those. The almond flour ones, once you are able to like whip the egg whites into peaks and everything like this, it's hard to screw it up afterwards. You can make a great cake, but the regular flour cake is just ugh, God, there's so many things you gotta add when it's gluten-free to make sure it all sticks together. It's just it
Makes
doesn't
it
always
weird
turn
for
out right. But they came out nice and, for gluten-free stuff, fluffy. One didn't land like a brick in the stomach, and the ultimate test is, my teenage nephew.
you. Mhm.
He went back for a second slice.
Oh, okay.
So, the skies parted. The sun came down, the cherubs all sang, there was a chorus. The cake was good. So, yeah, cooking up a storm, I was, but everything, turned out right. Everybody was, happy and well-fed, and, after we, had, a little meal, we went out to the backyard and lit a fire in the fire pit, and all, my niece is learning how to play the ukulele,
Mm,
so we had a little bit of campfire songs, and yeah, it was fun. It was
cool.
a good night. So we still have some people here in the kitchen, and then we have other guests that came and stayed in a hotel last night because we were eight. So we have six guests. We only had room for two here. So the other four are having breakfast on their own, and then they'll be coming, and then we'll be going for the hike, and that will be the weekend. Then after that, I'm going to have to go to rehearsal, and that will be the
Mhm.
weekend.
Yeah, I've got more production work to do today.
Hmm.
Trying to get caught up on stuff. So yeah, I'll work on stuff today. After the show, I'm going to take a break, take Lola out, and do some more production stuff, and that'll be my day. Oh, laundry, also laundry, lots of
Mm.
laundry.
Did you have some family time?
Yeah, yeah. I went over to my folks' place. We had some dinner. We had um, my mom the last couple of years. She's like, I'm not cooking a turkey anymore. I'm like, yeah, I understand. She goes, no, we're Swiss chalet. I'm getting Swiss chalet. I'm like, okay, it was great. Tons of food. So yeah, it was good. Good time.
Okay.
Came
Mm.
home relatively early because when you wake up every day at 4 a.m. around
Yes.
6 o'clock you start sundowning. Like
Yep.
honestly, like I'm winding my evening down. Got home, took out Lola, and I managed to stay up till 10 o'clock. By 9:30, like we had watched a movie, 9:30, the movie ended, and I'm like, okay, bedtime. And I looked at the thing and I go, it's only 9:30. Bridget looks at me, she goes, I can't go to bed now. It's too early. I'm like, yeah, okay. I'll put on something else and stayed up for another 30 minutes. So.
Mm. Mm. Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
But I woke up. I had turned off my daily alarm, my 4 a.m. alarm,
Yes.
but I forgot to turn off my 5:30 alarm.
Oh, no.
Well, it's a separate alarm. I have multiple alarms to make sure, right? So yeah, yeah. So
Oh, no.
my 5:30 alarm went. I just rolled over and shut it off and went back to sleep for another hour.
Okay. Good, good. I'm glad because sometimes that happens. I get an odd day off and forget to turn it off,
Mhm.
and it's like, "Ugh, I'm up now."
That's when I just do everything in slow mo. It's like, well, I'm up, but I'm going to take my sweet ass time. I do have something I wanted to share with you quickly. This
Yes, please.
came across my feed, and no surprise to anybody, quite honestly. Benjamin Netanyahu has canceled his visit to the Gaza ceasefire summit in Egypt.
Ah, wow.
Like, are you surprised? Because I'm not.
Well, you know what? Now that it's happened, I'm not surprised, but I was really thinking he would go to this one,
No.
um, just because, I haven't been following the ceasefire things as closely as I should have because, to be totally honest, I never thought it was going to happen. So I didn't think it was any
Well,
point in
I mean,
doing it.
politically speaking, he needs this war to continue because once it ends, he's going to prison.
Well, yes, absolutely.
He's going to prison, so he's going to
Yes.
keep this thing going for as long as he can. He has no intention of a ceasefire, none. They'll get
No.
the hostages will be returned, and he'll continue bombing. Mark my words. I'm telling
Oh
you,
yeah.
this is going to happen.
No, absolutely. And we've said this on the show many times now. He absolutely needs this war to keep going. Number one, and number two, as far as I'm concerned, he's been one of the single most persistent obstacles to peace in the region for the last
Oh, yeah.
20 to 30 years.
Yes. Well, Iran is 2 months away from a nuclear weapons program. He's been saying that for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
2 months.
So, Prime Minister, it's going to be interesting because yesterday we found out in the news around maybe 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon that the Prime Minister has decided that he would be flying out to Egypt to attend the signing of the Middle East peace plan. This is according to Benjamin Lopez Stephen at CBC, according to a press release that was sent out by his office Sunday afternoon, joining other world leaders such as, of course, Donald Trump, Keir Starmer, who's the British Prime Minister, who had confirmed British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, yes, who had confirmed his attendance yesterday as well. The summit is supposed to be held in a city called Sharm El-Sheik in Egypt. And, if Bibi is not going all of a sudden, do we know why he's not going? Please tell me it's because he caught a cold.
Well, this just came in, another feed, breaking a traffic accident about 50 kilometers from Sharm El-Sheik killed 3 members of Qatar's delegation heading to Gaza peace talks and injured 2 others. The victims were reportedly Qatari diplomats. Egyptian authorities are investigating the accident. It could be just an accident. It could be.
Yeah.
And I could be 9 feet tall.
Well, here's the thing. Like I said, I wasn't following it as much as it should because in an unusually cynic moment for me, I figured this ain't happening. There's no point
Yeah.
wasting my time. And then it's like, oh, suddenly we have a 20-point peace plan and all that kind of stuff. And oh, okay, Hamas might be interested in it. And oh, what the Knesset actually said, okay, all right, there's stuff going on. But as I've been reading more about this, um, it seems that, there was that weird incident with Benjamin Netanyahu when he came to the Oval Office and there was a phone call to Qatar, right? That was like Trump made him call Qatar and apologize because Qatar was bombed at one point by the Israelis, and Trump apparently had promised the Qataris that that would never, ever, ever, ever happen. He would never let that happen, and it did. And everybody has been describing that pretty much as the moment, the hinge moment that flipped everything, that made it such that basically Netanyahu pushed things too far, and it created the situation where Trump can go, okay, now I own you.
hmm
Because for those who have been paying attention behind this, uh, the Emir of Qatar and the Trump family specifically are there's an impressive number of business arrangements,
Oh, yes.
including a cryptocurrency with Donald Jr., and then of course all those real estate investments and other stuff with Jared Kushner. Apparently, Jared Kushner's fingerprints are all over that that alleged 20-point plan. Pardon me, excuse me. Sorry about that.
Well, what did they enrich themselves by 10 billion, I think, recently? Didn't Baron Trump make $88 million in one day on a crypto scam?
Possible, like I said,
He's 19 years old.
he was just appointed to the board of TikTok. Like he's got like extensive world experience. That's gonna help that company. I'm so
All
over
a
them.
grift.
I know. I'm so over them that I'm at the point now where it's like I just see the headline and I roll my eyes and I'm not even interested in reading
Mm.
this. And I know
Oh
sometimes I
yeah, I
have
hear you.
to. Like the whole phone call thing with Netanyahu and Qatar, I didn't even. I was like, just another stupid sideshow, and I didn't even read
Mm.
about it. Didn't care about it. Didn't want to know what was going on. But it turns out that
It's all
that's
a distraction to keep you not looking at the Epstein files.
right.
Right.
Right. Exactly. So Uh, but yeah, it seems that what happened there in Qatar was one of the reasons that everything sort of like took a spin and started going a little faster down the
Mm.
road to get us to the point where there was a ceasefire type thing for how long it's going to last. But according to Politico's Dasha Burns and Diana Rosie, it says here, and this was a really great article. President Donald Trump's coming Middle East trip is a capstone on 5 weeks of diplomacy that shifted into high gear at a moment when the prospects for peace seemed doomed.
Mm.
After Israel bombed Doha in early September, the Qataris, who were the leading mediators between Israel and Hamas, wanted to pull out of the peace process, said a senior White House official, granted anonymity to describe the diplomatic efforts. Trump, who has a long-standing relationship with the Qataris, issued a surprisingly sharp rebuke of the Israeli attack and would soon offer an unprecedented security guarantee to back his promise that nothing like that would happen again. He basically offered the Qataris security guarantee similar to what NATO has, is the word on the tweet. Trump extended his public olive branch in tandem with his administration's private outreach to Qatar and other Arab countries. In those discussions, U.S. officials made the case that the Doha attack offered an opportunity to put new pressure on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Quote, the president became much more pointed and direct, and there was a heightened urgency for a peace agreement after the Doha strike. The senior White House official said, quote, it allowed the president to put maximum pressure on Israel, which he did, and it really did force Israel into a position to submit to peace. Trump's increased pressure on Israel during the last 5 weeks, which include pushing Netanyahu to call and apologize to Qatar from the Oval Office, underscores how the president has shifted his position on the Gaza war since taking office. In a matter of months, he went from suggesting that Gaza would be cleared out to make way for a high priced real estate and giving Israel the green light to raise the territory, to demanding the Israel Defense Forces withdraw and release thousands of Palestinian prisoners in exchange for 20 Israeli hostages. Quote, the Israelis' botched strike against Qatar was the turning point, said a person close to the White House, granted anonymity to discuss internal deliberations. Quote, President Trump was able to use it as leverage not only to get Bibi to apologize to the Qatari PM, but also applying pressure on him to end the war. The 20-point peace plan still helps Israel achieve many of its objectives. The remaining hostages are set to return home, and the plan includes a mandate for Gaza to be de radicalized and ruled by a governing body free of Hamas, two critical elements in Israel's requests. But the plan also gives Hamas territories amnesty, and Israel won't have control of the Gaza Strip. Trump, at the end of the month, met with Arab and Muslim leaders on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly and promised he would not let Israel annex the West Bank. Quote, that was another really key moment in that room when legitimate discussions about details of what a peace plan would look like took place, the senior White House official said. Trump has said, quote, an eternal peace could be at hand, but the mood inside the White House is more tempered as key officials recognize that any truce is fragile. The president does not intend to be president when the Israeli hostages are released, which is certain to be an emotional moment. The state of the hostages could reignite tensions in the already fragile peace deal, but the 2-year captivity has left some with a sober outlook on the realities of what's to come. Quote, the deal crystallized 10 days ago, said a former State Department official who served during Trump's first term and was guaranteed anonymity to discuss the peace deal. 10 days is not enough time to transform human beings on the edge of starvation who've been kept underground for 2 years into healthy looking human beings. Trump is expected to speak at the Knesset in today after a quick stop in Egypt. His visit comes as both critics and supporters in Israel hail his efforts to bring the hostages home and secure an end to the 2-year war. But the administration and Trump allies stress that a lot can still go wrong, and it seems that it has. Wondering if Trump is still going to speak at the Knesset if Israel does not go to the summit in Egypt. Quote, hostages are the only instant photo of politically gratifying opportunity here, said Jonathan Conricus, former IDF spokesperson and senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Quote, after that, it's going to be a long time of negotiations and military activity and spins and many tedious detail-oriented things, which I'm not entirely sure that the president wants to be a part of. And nation building is a messy and resource-intense affair.
Indeed.
Yes. So it would seem here that Netanyahu, at least up until the point where he decided today he's not going to Egypt, um, broke the number one rule of conservative politics, and that is don't fuck with extremely rich people's money.
And he has.
And when he bombed Qatar,
Yeah.
when Trump and the Qataris had all these arrangements, he messed with very, very, very rich people's money. And then both of them said, okay, we own you now, punk.
Well,
And you will pay, you will call the Qatari prime minister and you will apologize on things, and everybody will know about it, and everybody will know I made you do it.
well, and let's not forget the most recent statement from Trump saying basically he will provide protection to Qatar as if they were a member of NATO. Number one, and then number two. Now they're building a Qatari air training base
Yes.
in North Dakota, which is
Mhm.
basically on the Canadian border.
Mhm. Gee, donating planes sure comes with advantages, doesn't it?
Trump can be bought. That's been proven time and time again. This is not a surprise to me. If anybody is actually surprised by this, what rock did you just crawl out from under?
Mhm.
Seriously, I mean, come on. He's the most corrupt leader in Western history.
Yeah. According to Reuters, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will not attend Monday's summit on ending the Gaza war in Egypt, his office said, after Cairo had earlier announced he would take part. In a statement, Netanyahu's office said he had been invited by U.S. President Donald Trump to participate in a meeting of world leaders in Sharm El-Sheik, but, and again, I will restate, after Cairo had earlier announced he would take part, which means he had confirmed, then declined due, quote, due to the timing's proximity to a beginning of a Jewish holiday. Um, the timing of the beginning of a Jewish holiday was exactly the same when he had originally confirmed
Mm-hmm.
as
Yeah.
when he pulled out.
Yeah.
So clearly, that can't be the reason.
He just doesn't want peace. He needs
Yes.
to keep bombing the hell out of them
Yes.
so he can
And
kill
it's,
everybody and claim the land
Yep.
and stay out of jail.
Yep. So Netanyahu, Putin, the same thing.
Mhm.
Oh, yes, 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 we're open to peace. But there always seems to be a reason why they just can't show up to that meeting.
Interesting, huh?
Yes. Quote, the prime minister thanked President Trump for his invitation and his efforts to expand the circle of peace through strength, the statement said. An Egyptian presidential spokesperson earlier said both Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas and Netanyahu were expected to join the summit, quote, to solidify the agreement to end the war in Gaza and reaffirm their commitment to it. The spokesperson also said Trump and Netanyahu spoke by phone with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi while they were in Israel on Monday. But Bibi's not there. So basically, they threw a party, and one of the two guests of honors decided he didn't want any cake.
Big surprise. I mean, come on.
And this is one of the reasons why I didn't go and read all of it before this happened, because it happened later than I expected. Because I never thought that they would actually even get to the point of actually establishing a meeting. Because they'd look at these conditions. So, no. Amnesty for yeah, that's not happening. Screw you. And well, so I was really surprised. So, is this really happening? That's like, and it's like I'm not, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I feel so petty for thinking this, but I'm thinking like, there's no way Trump is getting the Peace Prize this year. But damn it, is he really setting himself to get it next?
Well,
Because if it did stop, he, as much as I don't like the guy, there would be somewhat of a compelling case.
oh yeah, but it's not not happening.
So I was sitting there and I was like, and then it's like, this morning we said, there it is. There it is. There's the thing I've been waiting for. It was delayed. It was delayed. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm gonna guess that the Prime Minister of Canada is still going, because I would suspect he probably would have already been in the air.
Oh, he's there.
Yeah. So by the time, but yeah, I don't know what happens. Well, I mean, I guess everybody else keeps talking. I don't know if Israel has sent somebody in his stead
Maybe. I don't have any news on it.
so that Israel is
trying to find.
represented. Because the story is not is not conclusive or doesn't indicate anything one way or the other about whether or not Israel is still sending a delegation, or it was just the president, just the prime minister, and he's not going, and there will be no Israeli representation at all. That part I'm not clear based on these stories here. But yeah, look, well, I mean, everybody showed up, so I guess there's going to be some type of meeting that happens anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens from that point on. But doesn't inspire confidence, does it?
No.
It's like, oh, I forgot. I've been Jewish my whole life, but I forgot there's a holiday.
Yeah.
That just
that chestnut. You know how that works, right?
and I've been in politics more than 25 years, so every year at this time, as a political leader, I have to say something about this holiday. But this year, it's just slipped my mind.
I suddenly forgot about this important holiday.
Just, oh God. I mean, how do you?
Because I want peace so badly.
Yes, exactly. But it's like, how? See, I'm watching. I live for the awkward moment. You know that, right? So it's like I would have loved to be in a fly on the wall,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's like, oh, I can't come, or he can't come. He probably had somebody make the call for him, because that's probably not a call you make yourself. I can't
Oh,
come
God.
because I suddenly forgot there was a holiday. I could just imagine it's like the person on the other line. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Really? That's what he's gonna go with. He expects us to buy that, right?
Of course he did.
And of course, this is diplomacy, so probably nobody would say that. But I could just imagine the person at the other end of the line, just like trying to just not yell bullshit. Oh, come on, come up with a better one than that, at least. Jeez, it's like I have to repeat this. Don't make me say that.
Yeah.
Just, oh God.
I have
The eye roll
here.
must have been epic.
I have a 30-second clip here I want to share before we get into the meat of the show today. I want to share this because this is an example of a journalist doing journalism,
Yay.
which we don't see nearly enough of lately. I think you're going to enjoy this.
Okay.
Just 30 seconds.
Mhm.
Have a look.
Okay.
Let's talk about the real issues, George. I think the American people would benefit much more from that than from you going down some weird left-wing rabbit hole where the facts clearly show that Tom Homan didn't engage in any criminal wrongdoing.
It's not a weird left-wing rabbit hole. I didn't insinuate anything. I asked you whether Tom Homan accepted $50,000, as was heard on an audio tape recorded by the FBI in September 2024, and you did not answer the question. Thank you for your time this morning.
No, George, I said that I don't.
Up next. We'll be right back.
Yes.
He's like, nope, you're finished. That's
Yes.
how you do it.
Yes, Father Mucker. Yes, that's how you do it, bitches. That's oh my God.
You didn't answer my question. Thank you for your time.
Yes.
Bye.
Yes, because right now you're on air wasting mine.
Yes. And of course the standard shows up immediately, and the first response to that is of course this one, the Batman slapping Robin. No, George, I said thank you for your time.
Oh God.
Yeah, that was a thing of beauty. I had to share that with you because I knew you'd love it as much as I did. That's how you do it, folks.
That made my nipples hard.
That was a little bit TMI. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm sorry, that for
Oh,
a political geek, that's
well, and you remember George Stephanopoulos was in the political realm
Right.
under the Clinton administration.
Right.
So he knows what goes on. He's not a dumb man. He's a very smart man. Yeah.
They actually cut him off and lowered his mic before the picture disappeared.
Yep. No, George, thank you for your time. Bye. That is how you do it, folks.
Standard operating procedure, please.
Don't give them any opportunity to spread mis and disinformation. Call them out on their bullshit and silence them.
Well, here's the thing as well, right? Because by the context of that clip, I'm going to guess that George Stephanopoulos asked a question, and then JD Vance turned around and attacked the reporter, suggesting that the
Yep.
reporter was saying, he says, "No, I didn't say that. I said this, and now thank you for." Because if you are going to come into,
My
let's put
house.
it this way, you're going to come into my house.
Hmm.
I invite you to come onto my show,
Hmm.
our show. Yes, come into our house, and then you come into our house and start accusing us of deliberately trying to misinterpret things or set you up or something. Um, I see that you've accepted our invitation, that you've decided to relieve yourself on the carpets and wipe yourself with our drapes. You may leave now. Thank you. And we will be sending you the bill for the dry cleaning. I mean, I just don't. I, I I I don't get where you think that you can walk into somebody's house and then just start insulting them and think you're going to be invited to stay. Like, get the fuck out. Thank you. Your time here is done. That's all the time you get. Sayonara. I just, wow.
Yeah.
Good for George Stephanopoulos.
Oh, it was great. It was that's
Yep.
that's a class act. That's how you
Yep.
do it.
That's how you do it.
He was asking about Tom Homan taking $50,000 in cash. There's a recording of it.
Mhm.
He was asking him about it, and he deflected. And he was not going to allow him to deflect. You didn't answer the question. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.
Yeah. He's like, we both have contrary objectives. I want to inform the public. You do not want to.
Yeah, you want to
This is a show
misinform
about
the
informing the
public.
public. You have to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are rules. That's all. You agreed to play by them when you accepted the invitation. But it seems you've changed your mind. So I've changed mine. Bye.
It's a beautiful thing.
it's so simple.
Mhm.
It's beautiful in its simplicity.
It's the way you
But
do.
it's amazing how hard it is for people to just do that. Because I mean, we should have been doing this years ago,
Oh, yes.
and this should be industry standard by now.
Mhm.
Especially with all the time that we've seen. The same thing, Canadian media. When you sit there like this, and you know, what is your plan? Well, Carney said no. I asked, "What's your plan?" Well, Carney said, "Thank you. You don't want to talk about your plan."
Well, have you ever seen
Our
the,
next guest is.
you remember I've shared the video before. It was on a French talk show, and you had a trans man on and some religious zealot, for want of a better term. And the interviewer said, "So you were born a girl, but you're a boy now? Yes. And are you happy? Yes, I'm very happy." And then the religious guy says, "But according to the Bible," he goes, "No, no, that's it," and just literally ended the show right there.
Yep.
"No, I'm not having this. No." I asked him if he was happy. He's happy. End of discussion.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's like I'm sorry. Where did somebody determine it's your right to have an opinion on someone else's happiness?
Just like, really?
There's some people that have been like trying some stuff online about whatever, a whole bunch of stuff. We had Barbara Kay, known sophist,
Yeah. Yeah.
trying to make the point, for example, that talking about kneecaps. He's like, "How dare you consider kneecap clothing? It's a piece of cloth you put over something, and all that other kind of stuff, right?"
Mhm.
But basically trying to make the point that because it's a piece of cloth that you put over quote unquote legitimate clothing, that
Mhm.
the niqab is not clothing. Now again, not clothing I would wear. It's not clothing I would recommend anybody wear, but
No,
everybody freely chooses to do it.
I'm not a fan of it. But
That's their
here's the thing.
live and let live,
I'm
right?
not a fan of it. Hijab, no issues. But I don't. I'm going to wade into it a bit here. If you so desire to wear that garment, that's your decision.
Yeah.
And you're free to make that decision. And I support that 100%. If somebody is forcing you to wear it, that's a different
Right.
story. But how do we know that?
Well, and the thing is, in a country like Canada, right? In certain countries, they're forced to wear it. They got no choice. In a country like Canada, you might still not have choice because that's your home dynamic.
Hmm.
But there's nothing in the law that says that you can't, that you have to. But if you happen to be so devout
Mm.
that you choose to wear it, and statistically everything is possible. I assume that there are some people that are so devout because I've seen people in various other religions. I mean, I've seen people so devout that they don't speak
Oh,
for
yes.
right as so devout that they fast to the point of
Mhm.
being emaciated. So I mean, these are things these are things that some people can choose, and in Canada, you have the right to choose that. You're not supposed to have it forced upon you, but you do have a right to choose it. And if you choose it, just because I don't understand it does not necessarily mean I need to fear it.
Well, and I don't. And if you want to wear it, wear it. I hate it that somebody would be forced to wear it, but and I'm sure that does happen in this country,
Oh yeah, it does.
right?
We know it does.
But here's the thing: it also happens in this country amongst so-called evangelical Christians when they make women wear head to toe uh, dresses that go, right
To
down
the
to
ankle.
dragging on the ground.
Yeah.
No hands and face are the only thing you see.
Yeah.
That exists in so-called Christianity in
Oh
this
yeah.
country right
Yeah.
now, and women are forced to wear that too. So we cannot put restrictions upon how a person cares to dress. Can't do
Yeah.
that. You can't do it.
Yeah. Other than like health code stuff, like no shoots, no service. But right,
Yeah.
there are no restrictions. Like, nobody tells you how to dress or how not to dress, right?
No.
Um, but I'm like sitting there and I'm thinking, so anything that's worn on top of clothing is not clothing.
Right.
That okay, so it's like so jackets, coats,
Mhm.
that's so
Ski
they said,
pants.
"Oh, the shallow sophistry." It's like people call them underwear because they wear them under. It's like it's like so by that logic, why aren't we? It's given that we wear a dress shirt under a jacket, why don't we call it an underdress shirt then?
An underdress shirt. Yes.
So and it's like, "Oh, shallow sophistry." It's like, "Yes, I'm glad that you agree that you engage in shallow sophistry." Yeah, and then on the trans issue, there's a whole bunch of people going around and saying, like, it's like, "Trans women are men." And it's like, "No, they're not. Trans women are trans women."
Yeah. Well, and
But then they'll go around, like, they'll talk a bunch of stuff. Like, "The difference between men and women is more than genitals, it's cardiovascular, it's all this endocrine systems and like this, and these things matter a lot to females." These differences exist between person to person, not
yes.
just male and female, and they are just as essential for every other person as they so you have no point here. Like, they try to create these things that make distinctions. Right?
Well, it's
They try to hyper intellectualize stuff to create some distinctions, and there's difference between men and women beyond yeah, you also forgot to mention chromosomes, but
Mhm.
right? Or it's like, there's only 2. Well, gee, you are going to be really, really surprised when you learn about those frogs that change gender when
Yeah,
there's not
well, and
enough of one.
gender
I
is a
just
construct, remember. Sex is biology, gender is a construct. Gender is
exactly.
not biological. It's not.
Again,
Never has been.
right,
So
and
when they
my
have these gender reveal parties, I'm like, "Yeah, that's really stupid. Maybe you should have a, sex at birth party." But I guess
mm,
saying sex is offensive to somebody,
especially saying sex at birth.
right?
Oops.
Well, and one of the arguments that they go, "Well, you can't have, men in women's washrooms." Oh, because you think that men who want to go into women's washrooms are going to pretend to be trans to do it. You mean they're not already perverted and criminal that they're going to stop because that sign says women only? You think that's going to stop them?
Well, here's the other thing. Considering the sheer number of drag queens on the planet,
Yeah.
these are men that do put on women's clothes.
Yes. Yeah.
They still go to the bathroom in the men's well, except for in a gay bar where all the bathrooms are they're all optional, because, they go in the men's. So we have
Mhm.
and there
No.
are probably far more drag queens than there are transgender people, and they go to the bathroom that corresponds with
Well,
their actual
call it a toilet.
sex assigned at
I don't think there's an
sex assigned
actual
at birth.
bath in a public, space, but yes, I'm
Yes.
being pedantic.
Yes, yes. But you know what I mean? So it's like, "Oh, yeah, these particular people are dangerous." So, well, we have other people who wear women's clothing regularly, and they don't do that, so why are these people special? right? It's the logic never like, and they think they're so clever when they come up with these points, and it's sort of like, but that's not a point. You want to make this a difference between men and women, but this is a difference that's happens between every human being.
Yes.
It's not a man-woman thing,
No.
right? Like this, or even when they're talking about like endocrine systems are important. Well, those are like important to every living being.
Yeah, without that, you don't get very long.
It's not just humans, right? So, uh, so yeah, just a lot of these really stupid things, and then some other person like turned around and said, it's like men can't understand how women feel. Okay, so great. Yeah, somebody said something like when you can tell me how men can understand how women feel, and I said great, and when you can tell me how non-transgender people can. When you can tell me exactly how non-transgender people know how transgender people feel, I'll get
Mhm.
back to you on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It's just a man can't know what it's like to be a woman, just like you can't know what it's like being a trans person.
Yeah, you have no idea what it's like to be, oh, I don't know, a gay person, a black person.
Right? It's but like they think they're so clever. It's like, yeah, I got you. And it's like, dude,
Well,
no.
and of course, the whole, no, being gay is a choice. Really? Really? And how do you identify? I'm straight. And when did you choose that?
Yeah.
Although
That
with Republican men, it tends to be an actual choice on their part.
mm,
They
ooh.
present as straight, and then when there's a Republican convention, they crash the Grindr servers.
Mm.
So for Republican males, it is a choice.
Mr. Grizzly, bringing the shade.
Oh, this just in, I have some footage of the war-torn streets of Portland, Oregon.
Oh.
Yeah, check this out.
On that regard, have you decided which city that you want to go into next?
Yeah, I have. I have. I'm not going to say it now, but yeah, I have. We're going to go into another place and straighten it out. And I will say this: I watched today. I didn't know that was continuing to go on, but Portland is unbelievable.
All the national
For those who are listening, they're not furry costumes. They're sort of the inflatable sort of dinosaurs and unicorns that people get, and then they dance and they sort of jiggle in weird ways. It's just a gathering of people dressed
It's a parade, it looks like, down the streets of Portland, Oregon, and they're in shark costumes and dinosaur costumes and banana costumes, and, it's just they're just having fun, and, of course, Trump says it's a war-torn hellhole. You were looking at footage from 5 years ago that Fox presented as common occurrences in the city of Portland.
I can just imagine the guy in the banana suit. I was like, "Oh, war-torn country. Peel me, hun."
Well, do you remember the guy that, during the war in Syria, the civil war in Syria? He was Guitar Man. There was always photos and video of this guy. He refused to pick up a gun, so he went out in the streets with his guitar and just played music all day long.
Oh,
Guitar hero, a literal guitar hero. Yeah, that was a few years back. I hope he survived. I don't know. I mean, Syria was in rough shape.
yeah. On our opening story, by the way, Kit Uncover has mentioned, I think, that there's 154 Palestinian prisoners that have been freed and released to Egypt, I think it is.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So some of the exchanges are happening, even though Bibi is not going to that meeting. So hopefully this is something that will last. I mean, with all my early cynicism, I mean, I do hope it is something that will last. But I'm just
Mhm.
like, not surprised that that there's a speed bump of some kind. Right.
Here's an interesting tidbit. Recent online survey by Research Co. found that 72% of Canadians think vaccinations for children should definitely or probably be mandatory in their province, which is
There
up
you go.
5% from last year. Well, that makes
It's
perfect
up.
sense when you consider that measles is now endemic, and we had eliminated that in Canada, but now it's endemic
Yeah. It's
because
up from
people
last year.
aren't vaccinating their kids. Yeah.
It's just because I missed it. You said it was up 5%.
5% up from last year.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
still below the numbers pre-COVID, but
Right.
they're coming back up. People are realizing, shit, People are dying because we're being stupid and listening to people with opinions on social media and not actual,
Expertise.
epidemiologists, experts, doctors,
Yeah.
people who do that for a living and have trained for years upon years. And still, here's the thing, they call it practicing medicine because you never finish.
Right.
You're always learning. That's the whole point of science. You never stop learning.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. In another vein altogether, we have a little bit of economic data that is very, very positive, according to Statistics Canada. And this is an article by Jenna Benchetrit of CBC. That's a new name for me.
Yeah.
I wonder if she's a new journalist. Canada's economy added 60,000 jobs in September, beating expectations, with gains largely led by the tariff vulnerable manufacturing sector. Gee, Statistics Canada said on Friday. The data agency said 28,000 jobs were added to manufacturing, making the industry's first increase in employment since January, and since the U.S. trade war forced it to contend with thousands of job losses. Quote, trade exposed industries are far from out of the woods given ongoing tariff uncertainty, but the solid month highlights how things are holding on, at least in the near term, wrote Brendan Bernard, senior economist at Indeed. The increase was concentrated in Ontario and Alberta and partly offset 58,000 manufacturing jobs lost between January and August of this year. The unemployment rate remained unchanged from August at 7.1% as more people entered the workforce, while part-time employment fell by 46,000. About 106,000 full-time jobs were added. So we have 60,000 new
Mhm.
jobs net, but when you go and dig in the numbers, it's even better because we lost 46,000 part-time jobs, but gained 106,000 full-time jobs.
So that's good.
That's
That's
even
good.
better. That makes that 60,000 number look even better. BMO chief economist Douglas, great name, Porter, said the jobs report came in, quote, well above expectations of a modest gain and largely reversing the ultra weakness in the prior month. However, the big picture is that employment has inched up only 0.1% over the last 8 months since trade uncertainty started bubbling up in late January, Porter noted. And we have a graph here that shows that how it has, how unemployment has indeed been increasing steadily out January of 2023. Got to a low of 5% in March 2023, and then it's just been steadily. There's a little ups and downs along the way, but steadily increasing to about 7.1% here. But nothing, yeah, not none of the increases in a sharp or a shocking type way, because it's just a steady increase over time. Here. According to the article, gains were also seen in healthcare and social assistance, which added 14,000 jobs, and agriculture, which added 13,000. However, these were partly up by a drop off in wholesale and retail trade employment, which lost 21,000 jobs on a monthly basis. Alberta gained far more jobs than any other province, added 43,000 after employment declines this summer, but Carney is ruining everything, according to Pierre Poilievre. New Brunswick added 4,700 jobs, and Manitoba added 3,900. The employment rate was little changed in Quebec and Ontario. Average hourly wages went up by 3.3%, or $1.17 to $36.78 compared to the same time last year. So that's our average hourly wages still going increasing higher than the rate of inflation, because rate of inflation is at 1.9. This is 3.3, but still not at the rate of food inflation, which is 3.5 at the moment. Canada's economy continues to hang in there, treading water as it awaits more certainty on trade for the Bank of Canada. The soft labor market over the summer was one of the key drivers of the September rate cut, wrote Porter. The factor is no longer front and center, so unless inflation slows materially, the solid jobs figures lean towards a pause at the October meeting. So probably based on these numbers, there would not be a cut of the central bank interest rate at the next meeting in October. The
I
next
gotta
inflation report.
gotta jump. Sorry,
Oh,
Lola's going bananas
okay.
because normally I take her out at 4:30
Yes.
on a weekday, so she's like really she needs
Oh,
out. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
have to I have to I have to go. Sorry, folks. Duty
Okay.
call. Got to be a good daddy. If I get back and you're still on, I'll jump back in. But for the time being, I'm out.
Okay. Give Lola some scritches for me.
Well, see you later.
All right.
Bye.
There we go. Well, we had Mr. Grizzly for a time, and now he's gone, and now I'm sad. All right. And then, of course, to finish off the article, the next inflation report is on October 21st, and the Bank of Canada's next interest rate meeting is on October 29th. So, yeah, really good numbers for Canada. This is very positive. Of course, I'm certain that once Pierre Poilievre heard uh, these numbers, his heart broke a little because the one thing that is indeed broken about Canada is Pierre Poilievre. I'm sure he planned to have those employment number data come out and be absolutely terrible, and he was going to once again gleefully take the opportunity as Canada's abusive boyfriend to tell us how we're ugly and fat and stupid and how nobody but him will love us. But he was denied that opportunity, and I didn't see him or any conservative anywhere on the internet being happy that we had created 60,000 jobs last month. You would think that a party that wants to brand itself as the Workers' Party would be celebrating such a job report, but we got crickets. We got crickets. Curious, isn't it? Now, compared to our neighbor to the south, these numbers look even better. Now, in the United States, unfortunately, because Donald Trump did not like some numbers that came out and decided to fire the head of the Bureau of Statistics. And because shutdown, um, the United States did not publish their job numbers, or at least might be delayed due to the shutdown. But the government and the labor statistics are not the only place from which you can get jobs data. There are private organizations and whatnot that track this type of data as well and have their own numbers. And well, since nature abhors a vacuum, given that the Bureau of Labor Statistics was supposed to release the September jobs report Friday at 8:30 a.m., but could not. Well, other people are filling that void, according to Alicia Wallace of CNN here. So not being able to release the data. Instead, the agency behind the market moving release data that has starkly become even more important given economic uncertainty is almost entirely dark due to the federal shutdown. There will be no more employment data until the government is funded again. In the absence of official data, a constellation of previously reported federal data, private metrics, economists' analysis, Federal Reserve indicators, and job seekers' lived experiences can help cobble together a rough snapshot of the current U.S. labor market. Here's a look at what we know and what we don't. Consensus estimates, according to financial data firm FactSet, are that the economy added 50,000 jobs in September, a pickup from August's preliminary 22,000 job gain, and the unemployment rate held pat at 4.3. Baked into that estimate was an expectation that the private sector firms would add 62,000 jobs, while the government, primarily the federal sector, would post a 12,000 job loss. Wage growth and the average work week, a metric watched to gauge whether hours are being cut, were expected to be unchanged from August when pay gains rose 0.3% monthly and 3.7% annually, and the average work week was 34.2 hours. We've seen the story last year where you had a very weak summer of hiring and then hiring picked up again a bit in September. Brett Ryan, senior U.S. economist at Deutsche Bank, told CNN this week. I expect something similar, but not nearly as much of a bounce back as last year. In September 2024, the U.S. added 240,000 jobs, a robust increase that pretty much matched the entire gains of June, July, and August, when job growth averaged 82,000 per month. Hiring is considerably weaker this year. During the past 3 months, job growth has averaged 29,333 jobs per month. The makeup of the U.S. labor force has also changed. The U.S. unemployment rate can hold steady even as the country adds fewer jobs than last year, economists say, noting more people aging out of the workforce, a rise in discouraged job seekers, and a reduced flow of immigrants and rising deportations of workers. Last year, it probably took about 130,000 jobs per month to keep the unemployment rate steady. This year, it's probably more like 50,000 or below, Ryan said. Interesting. It's still not clear how much of the recent labor market slowdown can be attributed to lower immigration, JP Morgan economist Abiel Reinhart wrote earlier this year, noting a sudden loss of such labor could boost openings in affected industries. The Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey report for August, which was released on Tuesday, showed that construction jobs openings were nearly halved, plunging by 150,000 roles, the second largest drop on record. But Trump wants you to believe that there are factories all over the place being built. Okay. This could also reflect underlying business challenges in that sector, Reinhardt noted. Construction, which is closely watched as an indicator of economic activity, has been dogged by a combination of high interest rates, a persistent housing affordability crisis, deportations of workers, and tariff related uncertainty. The foreign born labor force has declined after peaking earlier this year, BLS data shows. However, the drop off could also be attributed to people refusing to answer surveys or not indicating their nativity status, economists note. Even without the official September jobs data, industry specific trends that showed up in the August report and for much of this year are expected to continue. Healthcare, which has contributed the lion's share to overall job growth this year, likely continued driving employment gains in September. And then they have an industry breakdown, uh, and they show here that private education and health services, leisure, hospitality, other services, retail, trade, and transportation and warehousing have slight growth or significant growth. But those are the ones that are growing. But utilities, financial activities, information, mining and logging, construction, wholesale trade, manufacturing, government, and professional and business services are the ones that are dropping the most. Healthcare has been one of the stalwarts of the labor market. The need for healthcare has grown as the population ages, Nella Richardson, chief economist at payroll giant ADP, said Wednesday. About 10,000 individuals turn retirement age every day in the United States, and that adds up to about 4 million retirements every year. ADP's monthly snapshot of private sector employment, which was released Wednesday, shows that health services and education added the most jobs in September, as employment slumped elsewhere. ADP estimated that private sector businesses lost 32,000 jobs in September because of ongoing uncertainty as well as preliminary data revision. In a low hire, low fire market with few options for workers, especially those in white collar industries, healthcare is becoming an attractive option. Sarah Lloyd, a single mother with 2 degrees, has been in and out of the labor force for the past 4 years. Jobs have been increasingly harder to come by in her field of marketing. Quote, I'm sending out emails to schools now to get back into school to pivot into healthcare just to find any semblance of stability, she told CNN. Still, the lack of broad based employment gains makes the U.S. even more vulnerable to shock, economists warn. Hiring activity has been listless this year, and the latest data isn't showing much of a turnaround. In September, a month when business job boards are typically filled with seasonal postings, hiring announcements were the weakest in more than a decade, according to new data Thursday from Challenger, Gray, and Christmas. Layoff activity, thankfully, doesn't seem to be accelerating, but those who are unemployed are having a really hard time getting back into the workforce. Continuing jobless claims, which are submitted by people who have filed for who have filed for at least a week or more of unemployment, have been hovering around 4-year highs, Department of Labor data shows. And in the August jobs report of 25.7% of unemployed people were actively job seeking for at least 27 weeks. Outside of the pandemic years, that's the highest share for that duration since June 2016, Bureau of Labor Statistics data shows. Among the bevy of regional Fed data, index from the Chicago Fed indicated similar unemployment activity as seen in August. The Chicago Fed real-time unemployment rate forecast updated this week projected an unemployment rate of 4.34% for September, up a hair from 4.32 in August, a rate of 2.1% for layoffs and other separations, roughly unchanged from 2.09, and a rate of 45.22 for hiring of unemployed workers, a slip from 45.61. A separate new indicator from the San Francisco Fed showed that state-level unemployment is still largely under control. As of mid-September, only 7 states' unemployment rates increased at least 0.5 percentage points above their prior 12-month lows, according to the weekly labor market stress indicator. The current suite of non-federal labor market data paints a mixed picture, but one with some bright spots. Here it says, for example, ZipRecruiter's recent employer surveys support the longstanding idea that there's pent-up demand just simmering beneath the surface. Quote, all of these data points say that the majority of businesses plan to increase hiring in the next 12 months, which is encouraging, Nicole Bachot, ZipRecruiter's labor economist, told CNN. On Main Street America, the September employment trends, including workforce participation hours worked and wages, are generally in line with where they've been in recent years, said Raymond Sanza, Vice President of Analytics and Data at small business payroll company Homebase. At a time when economic anxiety is high, stable is not too shabby. Quote, "There's nothing stark, nothing out of the ordinary," Sansa said. That said, things have not felt great for Main Street for at least 3 or 4 years. There was no post COVID boom time for them. It's just always been hard. And there are other reports in the US that are indicating um, that not only um, are the job rates not going great, but that there was a revision for last month's job numbers. And they had indicated a positive, I think it's ADP payroll. Yeah, ADP payroll had revised August's jobs numbers from an initial gain of there was initial job gain reported as 54,000, and the number was revised downward to a loss of 3,000 jobs. According to ADP payroll, the private sector lost 32,000 jobs in September, a sharper decline than expected, and the first time since 2020 that 2 consecutive months of private job losses have occurred. And the ADP numbers are specifically the ones that have been getting a lot of play. So while in Canada, jobs have increased 60,000 and full-time employment has increased over 100,000 jobs in 1 month, the United States has lost 32,000 jobs. And their previous month's job increase of 54,000 jobs was really, when everything was revised, a 3,000 job loss. So, yeah, if you want to know how things are going between the two countries, and despite everything that Donald Trump is trying to do to us, we're doing relatively well. Um, the other part where we're doing very well or relatively well is in the bond yield rates that we have to that we put out. If Canada, if we're going to be doing a lot of this build baby build and borrowing a lot of money, it's going to cost us some money to borrow it. Or and usually how we do that is that we issue some bonds and we pay a coupon rate, right? And that what the bond yields. And when people are less certain of your bonds and your ability to pay, well, then you have to raise the coupon rate. You have to say, okay, well, because you consider me bigger risk to show that we're good for it, we will pay you more. So at the moment, if we look at our central bank rates, right, they are very different. I think the United States is at 4.75 or 4.25, and we had a recent cut to 2.25, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to double check those numbers there to be sure, but there's a close to a 2% spread, I would think there. But there are other numbers here. If we look at the United States, we like to look at the 10-year bond yield, treasury yield, and the 30-year. The United States on their 10-year, they are offering 4.059%. And on their 30-year, whoops, there we go. They are offering 4.641%. That is, and they're not ridiculously high numbers, but they're over 4% for the 30-year Treasury. A lot of people are looking at 5% as being a psychological number, and there had, for a very brief period this year in May, it looks like, yes, it had gone over 5% for a little bit, and again, another very brief period in July. But the coupon rate has been slightly decreasing since then, but 4.64%. So again, for the 10-year, 4.059, and for the 30-year, 4.64. Now, if we look at Canada, right, because that's what, well, Pierre is often saying, that we're going to hell in a handbasket. we're looking at Canada, our 10-year bond rate is 3.169%. It's almost a full percentage lower. So it costs us much less to issue those bonds than it does the United States. And if you are looking at the 30-year for Canada, it is 3.675 there. And I'll just go back to the US 30-year, which is 4.641. So it's, again, almost a percentage lower. So that's something that you can do when you have, when we were talking about the parliamentary budget officer that was saying that, our spending was shocking and unsustainable and all of that. Um, Again, compare Canada and the United States and the bond yields. And you start to get an idea that we're sitting, we're not, don't say sitting pretty, because these are tough economic times, but we are doing way better. we are doing way better. We are not on the verge of going to hell in a handbasket, as some people would like us to believe. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. Also, if you are invested, you may have seen a rather big plunge in the U.S. stock market last Friday. Some people tend to get nervous in the month of October with stock markets, particularly since there have been some reports going out saying that we basically have an AI bubble going on in the United States. And if anybody remembers the .com bubble when it happened, um, the impacts were pretty devastating. Uh, there are some reports out there that say that the AI bubble is about 17 times the size of the .com frenzy and 4 times the subprime bubble. So we know the damage that we had in 2008 with subprime, and that was, so it's 4 times the size of that when it breaks. I think it was Belle of the Ranch who had um, indicated in one of her episodes that's where I got this information, that said something like the U.S. economy is 3 people on top of each other in a trench coat, because it's basically 5 to 8 AI companies that are doing all the gains, and if you remove them, um, the stock market isn't really growing at all. So if something happens to those companies, there's going to be a big plunge. So you basically got the tale of two economies in the United States. You have everything that's AI and pretty much everything else. And AI is doing really well, so well that it is boosting the market for everyone, and is very overvalued. Um, so on Friday, uh, with both those news, with the news that there's a bubble and it's so big, and it being October, and people sometimes getting a little skittish, and sometimes these sort of prophecies uh, tend to be self-fulfilling. And then when you add this particular data here about the AI bubble being so big, um, there was a drop significantly in the stock market on Friday in the United States, and I think it was close to 1,000 point drop. Might have been. I'm just trying to see here. Friday, the stock market. I'm just going to take a look here. What was the close? Thursday, the close was 46,330. And by the time we got to the end of the stock market day on Friday, it had dropped to 45,492. So yes, almost 1,000 points. The Dow has dropped 816 points over the past 5 days. But it seems that this morning it has rebounded a little bit. up 400 points so far right now. But the main reason for the drop, it turns out, it was because um, Trump had decided, post Nobel snub, that he was going to raise tariffs very, very, very much, like an additional 100% on certain things coming from China. So, according here to CNBC, Alex Herring, stocks surged on Monday, rebounding from Friday's sell-off after President Donald Trump said trade relations with China, quote, will all be fine. So it seems he did some damage and had to do another tweet, because Trump doesn't like it when the stock market drops, because for him, the stock market is the economy. Quote, the Dow Jones Industrial Average jumped 408 points or 0.9%. The S&P climbed 1.3, while the NASDAQ popped 1.6. There you go. You see, the regular stock market is 0.9, but the NASDAQ, where all the AI stocks are, popped 1.6. There's two very different markets here. AMD rose more than 3%, along with Nvidia and Oracle. Broadcom jumped more than 7% after making its partnership with OpenAI official on Monday morning. Those moves come after Trump's Truth Social post on Sunday suggested to investors the president may not follow through on his threat to post a massive increase on tariffs, quote, on China. That comment on Friday brought the U.S. trade war with China back to the fore and sent stocks tumbling in a rout that wiped out $2 trillion in market value. Quote, don't worry about China. It will all be fine. Highly respected President Xi just had a bad moment. He doesn't want depression for his country, and neither do I, Trump wrote. The USA wants to help China, not hurt it. I'm sure it was President Xi who had the bad moment, right, Donald? Vice President J.D. Vance echoed those sentiments over the weekend. He told Fox News that the U.S. will negotiate if Beijing is, quote, willing to be reasonable, though he added that the U.S. has, quote, far more cards if not. Quote, the underlying tensions and uncertainty remain, and we still don't think an all-encompassing deal is anywhere close. But this tamps down concerns about the risk of 100% tariffs or disruptive export controls while talks continue. Because when Trump announced those 100% tariffs, then China turned around and said, okay, well, then we will do some export controls. For example, we are going to charge a fee for container ships that are going to the United States with goods that you're bringing home from China. And it would seem that those charges were such, and this is according to Klaus Kellerman, were such that if you look at Costco specifically, um, basically, Costco has a container carrier fleet that's operated under a subsidiary company that's called OOCL. And OOCL is the fifth largest container carrier in the world. And what China was suggesting that it would do as retaliation for this would have cost OOCL alone an extra $2.1 billion in 2026 just to get the goods from China to the United States. So it seems that there was a move by Donald Trump, there was a counter move, and then Donald Trump turned around and said, well, yes, don't worry, everything will be fine with China. President Xi had a bad moment. That's all. Yes, it was President Xi who had the bad moment. Oh, man. But here's the thing, is that this resulted in some type of benefit for us because, well, benefit with a grain of salt here, because it seems that the ambassador of China to Canada went on to TV, I think it was CTV Question Period, and granted an interview in which and of course, because this is China and everything is really, really, really tightly controlled, you know that the ambassador, unlike the ambassador of the United States, does not say anything that their bosses do not want them to say, and that this has already been vetted and approved. But it seems that China is looking to us and saying, hey, Canada, uh, given all the stuff that's going on, if you will remove your tariffs on EVs, we will remove our tariffs on canola. And I think maybe if we reduce our tariffs as well as on steel and aluminium, because when Trump put in some tariffs on that, we put on some of ours as well to non-CUSMA or a certain block of nations that deal in steel and aluminium in order to protect our own industries. Because if we want to shift in Canada to making more steel and aluminium projects here that we are going to be using here during that transition phase that's going on. We can't create a situation where other countries can dump their steel and aluminium into our country and that Canadian producers decide to use that rather than Canadian products. So we established tariffs on those as well. So China is basically saying that if we cut or pull back our 100% tariffs on EVs and 25% tariffs on steel and aluminium, they will remove their 100% tariffs on canola and other things. So, yeah, very interesting move by China here. And I'm just going to go here to the CTV article because those were the notes I took in case there are any additional developments with regard to that. This is Spencer Van Dyke of CTV. And the actual quote here is Canada, if Canada removes Chinese products, China will also reciprocate accordingly. And if the EV tariffs are removed, then China will also remove the tariffs on the relevant products of Canada. So, yeah, let's see what else do we have in this article in case. Let's see what we have. So, yes, when we have so we did the 100% on EVs, 25% on steel and aluminium. China has levied tariffs of its own on Canadian agriculture, including notably canola products, with a 100% tariff on Canadian canola oil meal, and 75.8% on canola seed. Quote, the question you have raised touches the crux of the problem in our trade relations, Wang told CTV Question Period host Vashi Kapelos when asked whether China's tariffs are a direct response to Canada's EV levies. Quote, China's tariffs on Canadian agricultural products are a countermeasure against the EV tariffs and the unilateral unjustified tariffs on China's steel and aluminium products. If Canada is ready to correct this practice, China will also respond accordingly. The government is doing, quote, an informal review of its decision to impose the tariffs on Chinese EVs, though it wouldn't provide specifics of the review. Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe is facing calls to support farmers in the province. The Canadian press reported with recent Statistics Canada data showing canola exports from the province to China have fallen drastically. According to the data, Saskatchewan exported $96 million in goods to China in August, down 76% compared to the same last year. China is also Saskatchewan's second largest agri-food export destination, bringing in $3.7 billion in 2024. Prime Minister Mark Carney, meanwhile, has signaled there are attempts to deepen the relationship with China in some sectors, such as agriculture and climate. Late last month, on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly, he met with Chinese Premier Li Qiang, Chinese second highest ranking official. It marked the highest political level meeting between the two countries since 2018. Two Canadian lawmakers, Mo and Cody Bloy, parliamentary secretary to the Prime Minister, also recently returned from a visit to China amid the ongoing trade war. Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand is also set to travel there this month. When asked by Kapelos whether it would be naive to deepen ties with China, considering it's exploited Canada's dependence on China as a primary export market for canola in particular, Wang said, quote, the essence of bilateral trade cooperation and trade relationships is mutually beneficial and win-win. If you look at the history of the past decades of China-Canada relationship, you will see that in trade we have achieved fruitful outcomes, and these outcomes are the result of mutual respect and win-win cooperation and mutual benefit. And what I want to say is that the trade disputes between China and Canada are not caused by China. In China, we say the one who tied the knot should be the one who unties it. So China is not the one to blame in this whole process. Conservative, and here's where we get to the brilliant part again, where people just say anything. Because one of the main criticisms of Pierre Poilievre is that he makes a broad sort of policy announcement, but that doesn't do anything else. It was another discussion I had over the course of the weekend that somebody says, "Oh my God, Pierre's got so much policy, I just can't stop hearing about it, and Mark Carney has done none." And I'm thinking, like, are you kidding me right now? Because the Conservatives spent most of the last session distinctly trying not to tell us their policy whatsoever. I mean, we show you that clip of that interview with Melissa Landsman in December 2023, where Vashi Kapalis was asking her, and Landsman was saying, no, you're not going to get any policy from us, and you're going to finally get to hear about it during the election. So in other words, this was December and the election was scheduled to October at that point. She's basically saying for the next 10 months, you're going to hear us just doing the same old juvenile high school stuff, junior high stuff that we've been doing, and you will not get any real details about policy from us. And the other point is that on policy, Pierre will often give you the big line, like, for example, when asked recently, he said, I would negotiate a tariff-free deal with the United States. That's my policy. How? How would you manage to do the thing that nobody on the planet has yet accomplished, including people who are far superior to you in knowledge and skill? And then, of course, there's nothing. Well, here's the latest one of these. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has said he opposes lifting the tariffs on Chinese EVs, though he's called on the Liberals to do more to support farmers and get China to drop its levies on canola. So, China has basically said, we are prepared to remove these levies on canola if you remove the levies on EVs. Pierre Poilievre says, you absolutely must not remove the levies on EVs, but you need to get China to drop their levies on canola. Okay, if you were prime minister, how would you manage to do that? How would you maintain the 100% EV tariffs and still get China to drop its levies on canola? Shall we hold our breath when we're waiting? Because we might turn conservative blue in the process. So Pierre doesn't have policy so much as he's got planks and positions. But as soon as you start to scratch the paint, right? I mean, he's living in a fantasy world. He thinks he can get a no tariff deal with Trump when nobody else has achieved it, and he believes that he can get that there's a way to get canola levies dropped by China without removing the EV tariffs, even though China has specifically said if you want the canola tariffs removed, levies removed, remove the EV tariffs. He's not serious. The relationship between Canada and China soured significantly in 2018 after Canada arrested Huawei executive Meng Wanzhou on behalf of the United States over bank fraud charges. And if you remember, then Prime Minister Justin Trudeau stood firm and did not yield to China's requests, while conservatives and blue liberals like John Manley were begging the government of Canada to cave so that China would be allowed to impose its law here, so that we can get some relief, because, oh my God, the retaliation is just too much. We will never survive it. Well, we survived it quite fine. And Michael Spavor and Michael Kovrig were returned, and we never said yes to China on any of their demands. The conservatives were wrong. As political debate persists over whether Canada should build another crude oil pipeline to the BC's west coast, Wang says China's door for Canadian crude oil, quote, will be open. China encourages more cooperation and investment in the energy sector between the Chinese companies and the Canadian counterparts, Wang said. As long as Canada's energy products are market competitive, the door of the market of China will be open. On that one, there's another Pierre issue where he's turning around and saying, Mark Carney is in the way of more pipelines. Mark Carney is in the way of more pipelines. Pierre Poilievre said that before it came out in the news that Mark Carney was the one that put Keystone XL back on the table for the United States. A little premature enunciation from Pierre. There, that's another bit of news that must have broke his little heart, or broke whatever it is that's in the place where his heart should be. Since the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion became operational in 2024, China has become Canada's top customer for oil outside of the U.S., shipping an average of 207,000 barrels per day, according to tracking data by the information technology company Kepler. Speaking to Kapalos, Wang emphasized, quote, energy cooperation has already become a new growth point for China-Canada trade, saying China imported 9.7 million tons of crude oil from Canada in the first 8 months of 2025, which he said is bigger than the number of the whole year of last year. And while Danielle Smith will brag about all the money she's getting from that for the Alberta coffers, never once will she mention that the reason that is possible is because some liberal guy named Trudeau from Ottawa um, made that pipeline happen. Okay, interesting news. So yeah, lots of turmoil, lots of like little pieces of economic data that are so intricate, linked, but all of them showing good possibility for Canada, right? Our, our, our our yield on our bonds is about 1% lower than the United States. We're probably going to have to be issuing bonds. Ours are definitely uh, considered more safe and secure for the international market than the US's uh, are. We have China, which can afford to drag its heels and move very slowly, seemingly moving relatively rapidly on these types of things. We've gone from having pretty much no relations really to speak of to having meetings of that joint economic sort of committee. And then, like I said, Premier Mo going to China, and then the Prime Minister of Canada and the number two in China having side to side meetings, and then announced that there might be a meeting between the actual leaders. And now the ambassador, just out of the blue, um, days after Trump suggested additional 100% tariffs on China for a whole bunch of stuff, come in saying, "Hey, Canada, you're looking good right about now." Now, of course, I mean, for those who are paying attention to the long term view, jumping out of the arms of the United States to jump into the arms of China may not be all it's cracked up to be in the end, but for the moment, China is a rational actor and the United States isn't. And well, people like stability and security. So China is seems to be offering that a little more than the United States, even though you always have to remain vigilant when it comes to China, because uh, China can use its might as an economic power to crush and break a country, and has shown many times that it is fully willing to do it, including to us. So, um, yeah, six of one, half the dozen of the other. The other thing with China EVs from China, however, is if we do reduce those tariffs to zero, it then creates an opportunity for those cars to be sold here when they're not particularly manufactured here, which doesn't help our auto industry. So that's the catch catch 22, I guess you could say, for the government of Canada. We could reduce the tariffs and then get those other sectors going, but we might be creating a situation at the same time that makes it more difficult for auto manufacturing to be done in Canada. There are some people, Klaus Kellerman being one, suggesting that maybe a path forward would be that Canada would reduce those tariffs substantially, but not all the way, and hopefully get a corresponding reduction from China to bring a little more stability and affordability and cost predictability to the industries. And then from that point on, saying, okay, well, if we're going to be selling EVs from China and Canada, some of them are going to have to be made in Canada using Canadian steel and aluminum. So let's make a deal, China. That might be where we end up going if the United States is hell bent on ensuring that we do not have an auto industry at all. Uh, that might be a way that we manage to have one. Another way that we might manage to have one is because Mexico also has some very interesting and substantive uh, installations in place when it comes to its auto manufacturing. And if the United States doesn't want to buy cars either from Canada or Mexico, and given that we are talking more between Canada and Mexico, and then given that it also seems that Trump might be, as we've mentioned on the show, wanting more bilateral agreements with Canada and Mexico rather than a tripartite CUSMA thing when he's renegotiating this time around. Fortunately, thanks to not the CPTPP trade agreement, Canada and Mexico, because we're both Pacific nations, already have some bilateral agreement in that format. So if Kuzma were to disappear, we wouldn't have to renegotiate everything with Mexico because we have agreements with the CPTPP. And since we are tightening our bilateral relationship, there might be some cause to discuss Canada and the Mexico joining together, basically the same type of auto pack that we had with the United States, maybe having it with Mexico, so that both of us can supply our domestic markets. If the United States doesn't want to buy Canadian and Mexican vehicles or vehicles that were assembled, had final assembly in our nations, then maybe we don't want to buy American ones. Maybe we can buy Mexican ones instead, and Mexicans can buy ours, and we can do our auto manufacturing that way. Of course, again, that would take some time to make that switch, but it is an option that is available to us. So, if we want to keep some type of auto industry in Canada, that might be something that we have to do, closer relationships with Mexico and allowing Chinese EVs to be sold in Canada, so long as a portion of them are being manufactured here and creating jobs for Canadians. So keep your eyes and ears open peeled for that, because that might be where we're going. That might be some of the places that we're heading over the next few months and years on this particular file. All right, kits and cubs. I'm just going to look here in my notes to see what I wanted to mention today in particular. Oh, yes. One particular thing as well between our negotiations with the United States. Are they going well? Or are they not? We don't really know. But somebody pointed out, I think it might have been, oh God, I keep on remembering Janice Stein. There we go. It's twice now in a couple of weeks that I want to mention her name, and her name didn't come to me. Of the Monk School, uh, noted that when we are sending people to the United States, when we had that meeting in the Oval Office, we had Anand there, we had Jolie there, we had Leblanc there. But we're talking about an economic and security cooperation. The one person that wasn't there was David McKenty, our defense minister. So, wondering what the significance of that is, whether are we close or not close on that type of stuff. But he has so far not publicly been part of the discussions. I'm sure there's some stuff going on if we're talking about increased security, but not showing up in there. So that might be an indication of some of the distance that we have yet to travel. Um, the other thing with that is when Pierre is going around and saying that, oh my God, we didn't get a deal again. We didn't get a deal again. While there was some buzz about the opportunity of an announcement of reductions on steel and aluminium tariffs, the reason why a lot of this has been being downplayed is because the meeting came about, as we indicated on our show, when Trump and Carney met or bumped into each other at the UN, and Trump said, "Come on over." So usually, if there's going to be a major announceable of that sort, again, uh, you know, for lack of a better word, Sherpa teams have gone back and forth between the countries. A lot of things have been negotiated. There's something down on paper, and both countries have agreed. And everybody knows what everybody's going to be saying on that day when you come on over. Well, that when somebody just bumps to you in the hallway and say, "Come on over," and then you go over a couple of days later, all of that pre-announceable work to make any announcement that was going to be significant happen hasn't been done yet. So, for anybody, Pierre again turning around and saying, "I expect that we will come back with a deal," when the meeting came about in a very ad hoc manner, is again Pierre showing that he's not serious, and either willfully, either he is economically and politically illiterate, or he is willfully deciding that he wants to pretend that he does not know how things work in order to pull the wool over your eyes and to create the expectation that there should have been a deliverable on that day. Again, in politics and diplomacy, it doesn't work that way. Hey, why don't you come over for dinner like this? And, the announceable is not ready. in that sense, because that again, it's a lot of work and it's contracts and it's dotting of I's and crossing of T's and all that type of stuff. And yeah, that doesn't just happen on a whim. So again, tempering expectations here. And the government started, as we mentioned, a little late on doing that with this meeting, but did do the job. And Pierre, of course, was trying to create his own expectations that something like this could generate some type of big win when that was probably not in the cards. All right. Let's take a look, see how we're doing on time. Okay, I think we will end up closing the show here, kids and cubs. We hope that you enjoyed listening to us because we love making this for you, and I'm glad that Mr. Grizzly was here for a little bit. Remember, sharing is caring, and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. We really appreciate it when you do, especially when you share a little bit of yourself. When you do that, why it is our content resonated with you, or why you think it's important that people should listen to it. So thank you very much for that. Kids and cubs, if you would like us to help you because you are busy and on the go, hey, we like to do that. And thanks to the Ray Girl, we can. If you just click on this QR code that has appeared here, or if you go to podpage.com/the true north eager beaver with a hyphen between each one of those words, well, if you do that, there's a little button that's called let's try that again. There's a little button there called subscribe. I've been having trouble today getting words out. Uh, I'm a little tired. And if you click on the subscribe, kids and cubs, when we have something fresh off the audio cast bandwidth, it comes directly to you. And that way you can go about to take on the day and have us in your ears to remain abreast of what's going on in the world and in Canadian politics. Now, kids and cubs, if you would like to help us, we would be very grateful for your help. And you can do that by surfing on down to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page. The QR code that just appeared in the corner will appear in the corner. There we go. Uh, we'll bring you there. Kids Cassie and Elaine will definitely approve of you playing with our buttons like, share, and subscribe. When you do, it makes us very happy and it helps us with the algorithm. So thank you. Now, kids and cubs, if you would like to help us in other ways, we do incur some costs to bring the show to you, and we would be very grateful for your generous support in helping us do that, especially if, again, the content resonates with you and you think that we create a valuable product. We would definitely appreciate a tiny bit of financial support. Buy your favorite grizzly a cup of coffee, or buy your favorite beaver a mug of hot chocolate so he can maintain his levels. And you can do that by going to our coffee page. That QR code that just appeared will bring you there. That's coffee spelled KO-FI.com. Eager Beaver, all in one word. And if you can drop a couple of toonies and loonies there, that would make us very happy and help us a lot. Now, kids and cubs, if you're on YouTube, there's also the super chat. We also have some memberships. So if you could support us that way, that would be great as well. That's another way. And of course, if you are buying Canadian and don't want to go through U.S. Tech Bro software, TrueNorthEagerBeaver@gmail.com is our email address, and a direct bank transfer to us is a Buy Canadian way to do the transaction and ensure we get 100% of your donation, that none of it goes to the U.S. Tech Bros. So we thank you for all of your support. We are very grateful for every single penny. It really does matter. And everything, of course, goes back into the show. Now, if you're not able to contribute financially, kids and cubs, please do not worry, because the gifts of your attention and participation are the ones that matter the most to us. And we love to hear from you. And that same email address, TrueNorthEagerBeaver@gmail.com, is the one that you can use to write to us and let us know what you think about the show, make some guest suggestions, all the good stuff. Please use it. We love to hear from you. And if you want to reach us via our socials, at True Eager at the Blue Sky Beaver Lodge on the Jitter, True North Eager Beaver on Facebook, our original home, or right here if you're watching on YouTube in the comments section below, let us know what you think. We read absolutely everything, even though we're not able to get back to everyone. And we thank you for your support, because every contribution, whether in word or financial, goes back into the show to make it better for you. Kids and Cubs, because democracy is something that you do. Tomorrow is election day in Newfoundland and Labrador, provincial elections. Make your plan to vote. Make sure that you do vote. Tomorrow we'll hopefully have a little extra news for you on what's been going on over the past week in the election, and some information about the results of the municipal election in St. John. It seems that the turnout rate was particularly low, which is not surprising. However, given that the date was changed and there might have been some confusion with all of the changes and with what's going on with Canada Post and all that kind of stuff. So, but we will bring you that information tomorrow as we have a little bit of a focus on Newfoundland and Labrador on election day. We will not have a live show, elections results show, unfortunately, because yours truly will be at curling and will not be physically able to do that. But we will bring you, of course, results on the following show to let everybody know what happened in Newfoundland and Labrador. And yeah, so please make sure you plan to go vote. And if you are living in the Yukon Territory, remember your territorial election is November 3rd. And please get ready for that to get informed about who are your candidates. And of course, maybe Elections Yukon is looking for some extra help. So why not give them a call and take a position helping with the election to make sure that your fellow Canadians can cast their vote. Okay, let's see. What else do we have? I'm kind of lost here for a second. I forgot the order of my my extra. Oh yes, democracy is something that you do. Forevercanadian.ca. If you're in Alberta, please sign. They need a couple more signatures to get to 300,000 to get on the Citizens Initiative ballot. A question about keeping Alberta within Canada. Of course, you can also support them financially because it does cost them some money to have that type of a signature campaign. And of course, you can volunteer in other ways as well with the group if you think that this is a worthwhile pursuit. So forever-canadian.ca, please go there and make your voice known. And finally, Kits and Cubs, our petition, we're talking about it again, E669rcommons.ca. Go there, petition to bring a little bit more honesty in Canadian politics. And now we have crossed 34,000 signatures on that one. Please do go and affix your signature. And remember, as Mr. Sanchez told us when he came on the show, if you are not of voting age and if you are not a Canadian citizen, but a permanent resident, and you live here, you are allowed to sign. This is not just limited to people who have the right to vote. So please go and sign, get involved in democracy that way. And I've just posted the link to the petition here in the chat. All right. I think that's everything I've got for you on that. So, words of wisdom. Um, you know what? I'm just going to say if you have a turkey carcass, make sure that you keep it so that you can make some yummy, yummy stock. That will be our next plan. So we'll have some turkey stock for soups and bases and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there you go. Use all the bird. If you haven't yet had your celebrations, I do hope that yours will be absolutely delightful and joyous. And please, again, if you are cooking stuff or eating some yummy stuff, please post it to our Twitter page with the hashtag #KidsWhoCook, because I would love to see what it is that you're eating and get to share in your joy of celebration as well. All right. Kids and Cubs, it could be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself. And at the count of 3, may I have you all say, Mr. Beaver, please cue the cock on 1, 2, 3. Oh, there we go. And I think I saw one or two of you out there. Well, I didn't see because I can't see through the magic monitor, of course. Well, it is magic monitor. I can see. Yes, it is. I saw a couple of you doing the turkey dance. While you were singing. And since you added that extra little bit of entertainment, well, then I absolutely must, as your humble servant, accede to your request. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. We go. First game in the division final took place. It's a best of 7 series, and unfortunately, the Blue Jays ended up on the losing side of a 3-1 match, or 3-1 game. But there are 6 more to go, and hopefully, the Jays will get the bats going again. Just a minor speed bump. That's all on the way to the World Series title. Also, congratulations to a Canadian tennis player, Marina Stakusic, who was at an event, I believe, in Edmond, Oklahoma, if I am not mistaken, and made it all the way to the final of that event. It was her first final in a while. Fortunately, did not win the final, but that's okay. Nothing wrong with that, right? Uh, so one of her better results so far this year. I don't know if she's been a little bit injured, but she hasn't been playing as she had been playing. She hadn't been going very deep into those. Positive result for her close to the end of the season. And in that same tournament, another Canadian got to the final. And it was a great tournament for Canadians, actually. We had 4 involved, and 3 of them went pretty far into the in fact, the other semifinal was 2 Canadians together, Cadence Brace and Catherine Sibov, with Cadence Brace winning it. But both Brace and Marina Sekusic losing in the semifinal and the final to the eventual winner of the tournament. But still, some very good results for them. And today, if we are looking, there are already some results for our wonderful tennis players. Gabriel Diallo has won his match today. He's playing in a tournament in Almaty, Kazakhstan, and a very convincing win for him. And as is the case for, oh, darn, I guess that's it. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong day for the other stuff. But lots of Canadians in action, and I'm sure that there will be a lot to cheer about there. And also, talking about Canadians who make us proud, we do have a Nobel laureate this year. I believe it is in economics, and now my computer is going very slow. But yes, in economics, there was a Canadian who won, Peter Howitt, among a group of 3 researchers who won the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economics. And let's see what it is that they say here. This is Radio-Canada International. Howitt, among those awarded for having explained innovation-driven economic growth. Howitt, Joel Mokyr, and Philip Agion, one for the research into the impact of innovation on economic growth and how new technologies replace older ones, a key economic concept known as creative destruction. The winners represent contrasting but complementary approaches to economics. Moker is an economic historian who delved into the long-term trends using historical sources, while Howitt and Agion relied on mathematics to explain how creative destruction works. Howitt, 79, received his bachelor's degree in economics from Montreal's McGill University and his master's degree from the University of Western Ontario in London. He's a professor of social sciences at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. Agion, 69, is from the Collège de France and the London School of Economics. Dutch-born Mokier, 79, is from Northwestern University. Reached early Monday, Howard said he was thrilled. It's just the dream of a lifetime come true, he said. Howard said he found out about the prize from a persistent Swedish reporter who dialed his wife's phone early in the morning, even before the committee could reach The Economist. By the time Howard received his official notice from the committee, he already knew. Howard said his day was starting to look very different after the call. I'm going to be spending the day answering phone calls, he said. We didn't have any champagne in the fridge in anticipation of this. Howard said he was looking forward to celebrating with his co-winner, Agion. The duo has worked together for about 30 years. Quote, I'm really looking forward to getting together with him, to celebrating with our family, he said. We have children all around North America, and we look forward to going to Sweden together. Volker was still trying to get his morning coffee when he was reached on the phone by an Associated Press reporter. He said he was shocked to win the prize. Quote, people always say this, but in this case, I'm being truthful. I had no clue that anything like this was going to happen. His students had asked him about the possibility he would win the Nobel, he said. Quote, I told him that I was more likely to be elected Pope than to win the Nobel Prize in economics. And I am Jewish, by the way. Volker, who will turn 80 next summer, said he has no plans to retire. Quote, this is the type of job that I dreamed about my entire life. Agion, too, said he was shocked by the honor. I can't find the words to express what I feel, he said by phone to the news conference in Stockholm. He said he would invest his prize money in his research lab. Asked about current trade wars and protectionism in the world, Agion said, quote, I'm not welcoming the protectionist way in the U.S. That is not good for world growth and innovation. Howitt was also critical of President Donald Trump's trade policies. Quote, it's pretty clear that these are going to discourage innovation by reducing what we call the scale effect, he said. Starting a tariff war just reduces the size of the market for everybody. He said that trying to bring the manufacturing jobs back to the U.S. could perhaps make some political sense, but was not good at economic policy. Quote, we're good at designing running shoes, but it's best for us to leave others to make them. The winners were credited with better explaining and quantifying creative destruction, a key concept in economics that refers to the process in which beneficial new innovations replace and thus destroy older technologies and businesses. The concept is usually associated with economist Joseph Schumpeter, who outlined it in his 1942 book, Capitalism, Socialism, and Democracy. The Nobel Committee said Moker, quote, demonstrated that if innovations are to succeed one another in a self-generating process, we not only need to know that something works, but we also need to have scientific explanations for why. Agion and Howitt studied the mechanisms behind sustained growth, including a 1992 article in which they constructed a mathematical model for creative destruction. Agion helped shape French President Emmanuel Macron's economic program during his 2017 election campaign. More recently, Agion co-chaired the country's Artificial Intelligence Commission, which in 2024 submitted a report to Macron outlining 25 recommendations to position France as a leading force in the field of AI. Quote, the laureate's work shows the economic growth cannot be taken for granted. We must uphold the mechanisms that underlie creative destruction so that we do not fall back into stagnation, said John Hassler, chair of the Committee for the Prize in Economic Sciences. One half of the 11 million Swedish kronor, or $1.6 million Canadian prize, goes to Moker, and the other half is shared by Agion and Howitt. Winners also receive an 18-karat gold medal and a diploma. There you go. So another Canadian who does us proud. We'll hopefully find out more about him and what he thinks over the days to come. But for now, kids and cubs, that's all we have. So, amour et bisous. Everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving celebration if you haven't had it already. And we will see you tomorrow, and we will talk a little bit about elections in Newfoundland and Labrador. And with that, kids and cubs, like magic, I am gone.